Hello and welcome back to AC's Make and Repair. Today we're going to do a recycling project. I'm going to take an old coffee table frame that I got off a job that was going to be discarded, and I'm going to take an old pallet. I'm going to combine the two and make an ornate coffee table. Come along with me. Okay, this is the old coffee table frame that we're going to put a top on. Just needs a light sand. As you can see, it's just paint's gone off it. But the frame itself is in, I'll turn it around a bit, fairly okay condition. It's not super rusty or anything like that. Just got that paint flaking off it. And if we clean it up, I'm sure we can get that looking nice. We'll just paint it the black again, most likely. So there we go. And now for the sanding, I'm just using an old disc that's pretty coarse still. Not overly coarse, it'd be an 80 that's worn down a bit. And that'll take off all this rough stuff. So we just simply go over it, rough it. I will go over the smoother one too. Okay, now we're going to do a finer sand. This is a finer paper. It's got a foam back. I use it on timber a lot, but it's actually okay for this. It's got garnet in it. And I'll just sand that down just to give it a smoother finish. Yeah. So we'll go over that, and then we'll come back and show you what we've got before we primer coat it. And so I'll go through and do this right now. I'm actually going to take the feet out of it to make it so I can sand around and paint around the ends quite good. The feet are still quite good, they just need a bit of a clean up. So I just got a pair of pliers, and on mine they just tap out like that. Now a lot of bungs just tap out like that, but use your care. If you want to replace them, you can replace them too, but make sure you can get the size. This size would be hard to get. Okay, we're finished sanding. Finished that now, and as you can see, it is quite clear of the flakiness. I'll just zoom out a bit so you can see. And it's well and truly smooth enough. Went from an 80 down to a 180, I think it was roughly, or a 120, and that's more than enough for what we wanted. As you can see some bare metal there. That's not a problem as long as you cover it good with your primer coat. We'll give that a prep wash down now, wipe over and clean it up, make sure it's free from all dust. Then we can give it a primer coat, or an undercoat as you might call it, okay? Okay, here we are at the priming stage. Use a decent quality primer, don't use a cheap one. They seem to be a better building primer in the first place and cover much better. So little imperfections can be covered by a good primer. Also it adheres better too and usually dries better. So we wipe that down, give that a clean up, get all the dust off it. Now what we're going to do is go around. I'll prime the inside of the frame first. Inside of the frame first, and get as much as I can from the inside. Then I will turn it up the other way and we will do the outside of the frame. That's the most practical way to do it. So here we go. Now we've done the primer coat, we've given it a light sand between the primer coat, once the primer coat was dry that is, and then we're going to apply 2 top coats. I'll show you to apply one of those. I'll lay down a light mist coat first, which helps you hang a heavier coat on top. Just going to sand this to clean it up a bit to pick out the best part to use on the particular top. I'm feeling a lot of imperfections with this. It's a 2-pack epoxy. It's fairly thick, but it works quite well on this sort of thing. And it'll actually highlight the old knots and grain in this bit of timber that we're going to use for the top. So I'm just going to go through and simply fill these spots that need filling. And that I'll show you when we've got it, and we're going to cut it down after we finish doing this. And it's set, or after this is set that is, we'll cut it down. Okay? As you can see. So we'll sand that back later and it should come up great. Okay, what I've done is I've strengthened the top by adding some timber underneath the top. The top was only about 16 millimeters or 5/8 thick, and so I've strengthened the top and made basically a frame like this underneath to support it. That will make a better moulding edge too when I run the router over with a bit on it. As you can see, the top's not too bad. We've filled that a fair bit for any imperfections. I've got to cut off these end bits now, smooth the edges, and then I'm up to the stage of putting it on the top, just mounting it for the first time, and then I will unscrew it. Well, actually I'll run the router around it first, unscrew it, then I'll lacquer it. The frame, we've given it a light sand, just a very light one between top coats. I've just got to give it one more top coat, it will be fine then to go. Okay, I've screwed the top to the table of the frame. and now I'm about to run the router around it. I'll do it in a few passes, 2 or 3 passes, to get a nice neat finish. Okay, so I routed the edges. I'll just zoom in a bit for you to have a look around. And there you have it. It's a nice looking timber. That epoxy that we put in the grain makes it actually look like a bit of a river table, you know, that sort of effect there. Bit pithy the end grain. We'll have to fill that with a bit of putty. Being a crate, you wouldn't expect to be the best quality timber. So it's just one of those things that you have to put up with when you're using recycled timber. Okay, this is before we started spraying. Fold down. Other way. This is the underneath side. We'll spray it first, let it dry off, then we'll do the top side. Alright, so we've done one coat of lacquer. There's the top there. I'll come down for a close look for you. And what we will do is now give that a light sand, a bit of fine paper, sandpaper, and recoat probably 1 to 2 more times. I'd say at least probably 2 or 3 coats. I'd say probably 3 in this case, and that will give it a nice finish. I use a 60% gloss finish, and we'll show you once we've lacquered it, and we'll screw it to the frame and show you the finished product. Okay, just going to do a top coat. One of the top coats in here. It's already done one coat, lightly sanded with a very fine sandpaper in between coats, very fine. And now we're just going to do one of the top coats. That's the second top coat to go on. I'll probably put another one at least, and then we'll go from there. Okay, there we have our finished coffee table, and it come up pretty good really. If you can see that there. This video I just created so you could see what you can do with an old coffee table frame which had a chipboard top on it at one time. And this is, like I said, an old pallet. You could alternatively do it at a pallet timber and make something up very similar. But you can do it. Give it a go. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Bye for now.